first up we have Dark Avengers 184. I picked this one up. I heard them talking about it on Talking Comics podcast, and I thought, you know, I've always liked alternate reality stories. Doesn't matter if it's like Age of Apocalypse or House of M, or in Star Trek you had the Mirror episode, or, you know, Marvel used to do a comic book called What If, and I always loved those kind of things with the whole, if things were different, this could have gone, or this could have happened. In this, our team end up on this different Earth where New York seems to have been broken into zones. You've got Iron Zone, which is where Iron Man controls. You've got Strange Town, which is Doctor Strange. Mr. Fantastic owns a part, and it sounds like the Thing might control Yancey Street. So they all have their own separate zones. And Iron Man and Hank Pym are trying to figure out who this team of Avengers are. They're people that they recognise, but they're not. Meanwhile, Scar wakes up in Iron Zone, gets attacked by all these different Iron Men. Moonstone shows up and they get out of there, only to run into Strange Town where they get captured by Doctor Strange. Meanwhile, Toxie has woken up and she puts Hank Pym under some kind of mind control, and she finds out that he's got a device and he was already under mind control to somebody else, sort of suggesting that there are some other people that are orchestrating all what's happening on this world. All in all, I enjoyed this. I like the story. The only thing that put me off is I never really... Most of our team are unconscious for the majority of the issue. The characters that we have, Moonstone, Toxie and Scar, I don't really engage with any of them. I don't really like any of them as characters. So I just read the book, and while I liked the story, I didn't care at all about the characters. I didn't care how are they going to get out of this. You know, are they all going to die? I didn't care. And I think that's the thing that really hurt me with this book. I remember when it changed from Thunderbolt to Dark Avengers, I picked it up for a couple of issues, and I had the same problem then. And there's nothing wrong with the book. It's just a well-written book. The art is great. It's just the characters. I just can't seem to get into the characters. So I don't think I'll be picking this one up again. But, you know, see, this is our opening page. They've been captured by Iron Man, Hank Pym. We get Scar wakes up and then gets attacked by Iron Man. You see, so the art is good, the story is good. But I just, man, I just didn't connect with the characters in this one. So I'd give it a thumbs in the middle because it wasn't bad. It just didn't do it for me. So yeah, so that's Dark Avengers. Well, next up we have Aquaman, issue 14. This is another book that came out about a month ago now. I was going to say a couple of weeks, but no, I think this book actually came out about a month ago. Initially I was going to drop Aquaman. I looked at my list of comics projected for the next month, how much I was going to spend. It was way too much. I needed to cut some books. So Aquaman was one of the books that I was going to drop. Not because it was bad, I've enjoyed the run, but I was going to drop Justice League, and the story in Justice League was going to tie over into this one, and I didn't know if I could follow the story from one book or if you had to be reading both, so I figured I wouldn't risk it. So that was 2 books easily to drop off that I was going to get. So that was the plan. And then everybody was saying how brilliant Justice League and Aquaman were this week, so I went back to the comic book shop and I got issue 14 as well as these week's 2 issues. This is back on my pull list now, but I have knocked some other books to compensate putting it back on. This story, as it says on the cover, it is a prelude to Throne of Atlantis. We get to meet this guy, Orm, the Ocean Master. He is Aquaman's brother and the King of Atlantis. Aquaman has a meeting with him because he wants to know who played that mantra to get those Atlantean artifacts, sorry. So he has a meeting with his brother Orm to see if it was Orm, or if Orm knows who it was. Meanwhile, we get to see Black Manta in prison, and Amanda Waller wants him to join the Suicide Squad. We also get to meet Volko again. He's a character we met in the Zero issue, who took Aquaman to Atlantis. We don't know what happened in Atlantis. That was all a bit of a mystery. But whatever happened, Volko left as well as Aquaman, and he finds an Atlantean guard dead, washed up on shore. So Volko swims to Atlantis because he feels something must be drastically wrong. This was a good issue. I enjoyed it. It was a really nice setup for the Throne of Atlantis. It really whetted your appetite for that story. I liked in the book how every time we saw Orm, he was always in shadow. We didn't get to see all of him. Though that was made a bit redundant when you've got him on the cover. It would have been a great effect that you don't get a clear shot at him until like the next issue of Justice League. I'd have liked that, but then they put him on the cover, so it makes it redundant. Why have him in shadow inside? You know, we've seen him already on the cover. The art, you know, Ivan Reis has left the book to go to Justice League, so the art does fall down a bit. You know, Reis is such a good artist. It takes two to replace him, as they put two artists on this book, which is not something I'm keen on. And the art is mainly okay, but you know, it's just not the standard that is Ivan Reis. Let me show you some of the art. There we have Black Manta in prison. Nice underwater scene as Aquaman is meeting his brother. And finally, so yeah, I like the art, but it wasn't as great as Ivan Reis's art has been. But a really good story, enjoyed it, and give it a thumbs up, and it's back on my list. Well, here is my pick of the week, Justice League issue 15, which begins the Throne of Atlantis story arc. Only 4 books this week that were eligible for pick of the week, because I picked them up this week. So it didn't have much competition, but I think even if it would have had, this would have took some beating. It was a really good start to this story, and for me, definitely, easily the best issue of Justice League to date. Primarily through the story, we've got different stories going on. We kick it off with this battleship, and somebody takes over and fires the rockets into Atlantis. Superman is still with Wonder Woman in Smallville, and they dress up as dress her up disguised to go out and have a meal out in Metropolis. Batman is trying to catch some crooks when Aquaman shows up to help him out and says that he may have a Justice League sized problem to deal with. Then these different parts of America get hit with these big waves. Superman and Wonder Woman in Metropolis are on the wave there. Batman, Aquaman and Mira are on the wave in Gotham. And you know, we get a chilling thing at the end of what has caused this wave. We then get the brilliant backup story, which continues the continuing adventures of Shazam. I'm not sure, is it Captain Marvel or is it Shazam? I'm not sure what to call him. But anyway, we get his further adventures as he learns more about his powers before what could end up being a deadly encounter with a former foe. All in all, this book was brilliant. Ivan Reis just hits out the park on art in the main Justice League bit. After seeing him draw Aquaman for 13 issues, well 14 if you count the Zero issue, for 14 issues, and I'm not sure if he did every issue, but anyway, after seeing his brilliant run on Aquaman, it's great seeing him here being able to draw, you know, the Trinity of the DC universe. I liked also how each character had a different story, but they all sort of were connected. I liked that a lot. I liked how we had these nice character moments between the characters. between Aquaman and Batman, and between Wonder Woman and Superman. I like that, and building on these friendships, you know, I like that a lot. And the story just was really a really great setup for where Justice League's second year is going and where this story is going. Also, the backup, I'm loving. You know, originally I didn't like Billy Batson, but as the story's gone on, I've kind of, you know, I like the guy now, and I'm interested to see what happens to him. So, all in all, it was really good. Loved the cover as well. Thought that cover was really great. Show you a bit of the art. A great way for Reese to be introduced to the book, to have, you know, Aquaman and Mera, characters that he knows how to draw, have them play such a big part in this issue. This is one of my favourite double page spreads. I love that. And then Superman and Wonder Woman go to action. So yeah, really, really good, that the main book. And then we've got the backup feature, which is illustrated by Gary Frank, and, you know, Shazam is learning more about his powers, about what he can do. And the more he learns, the more questions he has. You know, so yeah. All in all, just a fantastic issue. Two really good stories in it. One thing that I love about DC is when I get a $3.99 book from DC, I feel I'm getting more bang for my buck. I feel I'm getting a thicker book. This book's got 2 stories in it, and both of them are top notch. With Marvel, you get 1 story and it's the same price, and they go, oh yeah, but we give you a free digital download. But shouldn't I get the choice? If I don't want a digital download, shouldn't I be able to buy a $2.99 version of the book? You know, I'd rather have that choice. But anywho, DC do fantastic value when they do $3.99s. Something Marvel could learn a lot from, and this just all in all was a really good book, and it was a real nice after Christmas treat. And I definitely, if you've given up on this book because it wasn't really improving, this issue it picks up a lot, and I definitely give it a thumbs up. My pick of the week for this week. Well, we didn't have to wait long for part 2 of Throne of Atlantis, as they released it on the same day as we get Aquaman 15, which is part 2 of Throne of Atlantis. That's a slight little gripe. I felt like for the prelude we had that like little bit on that said it was the prelude. On here we don't. You know, nothing to say that this is part 2, which I do think is bad. This issue, Aquaman knows that Atlantis are behind the attacks because he put together the war plans, and he wants the opportunity to talk with Orm, that they can stop this, that they just need dialogue. But like Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman are all very much on it like, no, they've killed people, we need to get Orm, arrest him and bring him to justice. Not looking at the fact that somebody's manipulating this whole thing, you know, which I kind of like. That felt real, that they're so like outraged what's happened to them. They're not looking at what happened to Atlantis and saying, well, we need to find who done this, you know, because ultimately they're behind all of it. You know, somebody's pulling the strings here. I like that. I like that up. And Aquaman sort of stuck in the middle, trying to keep a peace between these two people. And it's like the land that he grew up in. He grew up on the land, but then there's people of the sea, and it's all very. He doesn't know. He's been pulled both ways in this whole. This is Aquaman. So he sets up a meeting with his brother Orm, and they discuss, you know, but the Trinity get impatient, and that sort of pushes us to a really shocking conclusion. And will the Justice League be able to survive this story? You know, they're already down 2 members. Could they lose more through this story? But another really good issue. This issue we got Paul Palpetier on art. I hope he's going to be the regular artist on this book, because he does a really good job. I liked his art on this book. And at the beginning of the story, it's still very much separate. We get to learn why Aquaman stepped down as King of Atlantis. So we get to learn a lot more in here, and it's good. Already, you've got the one writer that writes Aquaman and Justice League, and so already the story's a lot more coherent because you've got the one vision, the one voice telling the story. I felt with Avengers vs. X-Men, one of the big problems in that series was you had too many voices telling the story because every issue was written by a different writer. And I think you look at AVX Consequences, was a much better series because you just had the one writer writing the whole thing. And I think so far in front of Atlantis, this has worked really strong for this because you're getting the one voice tell the story, and so I'm really enjoying this, and I'm looking forward to getting the next part of this book, and definitely worth checking out, and I give it a thumbs up. Next up is the big release of the week. It is the Amazing Spider-Man issue 700, the final issue of this book for now. Peter is trapped inside Dr. Octopus' body and is trying to get back to his own body, which is now occupied by Dr. Octopus. Peter has got every plan imaginable to try and beat Dr. Octopus, but Dr. Octopus has fought this really well, and he's one step ahead of Peter all the way. Everything that Peter does, Dr. Octopus is a step ahead. So, Peter resorts to desperate means that if he can't get back to his body, he's just got to make sure Dr. Octopus dies as well. But even that backfires, and Peter lies there dying, and he finds he still has control over his memories in Dr. Octopus's head. So he floods Dr. Octopus with memories of Peter Parker's life. Dr. Octopus then has a change of heart, realises that with great power comes great responsibility, and and then Peter dies, and Dr. Octopus says he's going to carry on, but he's going to be a better Spider-Man. He's going to be the superior Spider-Man, and that's the end. First, let's start with what I like. Let's start off positive, at least. I liked the fact that Dr. Octopus was a step ahead of Peter all the way. I really liked that. It really upped the ante, and made you feel felt desperate for Peter, and I thought that was really well written, and that was good. I also liked there was a bit in here where he's fighting the Scorpion. Spider-Man fights a Scorpion, and he sort of takes his jaw off, and even Octopus sort of thinks to himself, wow, I never realised Parker was this strong. He must have been holding back all these years, which sort of tells you a bit more about Spider-Man, which I liked that as well. What I didn't like, the whole ending for me felt a bit rushed. I would have preferred it if maybe the last issue, Peter found he had some control over flooding Octopus with his memories. If it had been something that had been percolating, and it was a last ditch plan that he had in reserve. If everything else failed, he had this one possibility. I think I would have gone with it better, but the fact that it just all very much felt the very last minute, that at the last minute, yeah, maybe we can get out of it like this. I know Dr. Octopus is supposed to have been flooded with a lifetime's worth of memories, but even so, you've got a guy who's been a career criminal, and he's just going to have a change of heart like that. I didn't buy it. It was all very much, 1 minute he's gloating that he's killed Spider-Man, he's won, and next minute he's like, oh yeah man, I'll look after your family, and it was just too sudden of a change for me. Also, I didn't like the way they took Peter out. I've read comics long enough that I don't buy that this death's going to stick, that in 2 years time they're going to bring Peter Parker back, maybe sooner. They're going to find a way to bring him back. I've got no doubt about that. Maybe a part of him is living on inside of Dr. Octopus. I don't know where Dr. Octopus is now in Peter's head. Maybe there's a piece of Peter still there. I don't know. But I totally don't buy that this is going to stick. So I'm not, that's why I don't get too upset. But I just felt Peter was he was kind of like the Jiminy Cricket of the Marvel Universe. He was the conscience of the Marvel Universe. If Captain America was your leader, Spider-Man was the heart. And so many times he put himself on the line, and I thought for him to go down like this at the hands of a villain, there was no great sacrifice. There was no, he just died, bloodied and alone. And maybe that added a bit of reality into the story, but I didn't like it. I wanted to see Peter go out with some kind of heroics, and I can see what Slott tried to do, that with Peter's dying actions, he managed to change things, managed to bring across to Dr. Octopus, so that Octopus would act more like a hero. But it just was all too sudden. It was just, for me, it was just all too sudden. I found it was something that they should have had percolating in there from the previous issue. But anywho, there were also two other stories in here. We have, I think one's called Spider's Dreams, which is a good little story about a retired Spider-Man sort of telling to his grandson his days as Spider-Man. And then we get a final story with the Black Cat, which I didn't understand the point. I could kind of see the point of Spider Dreams in here, but the Black Cat story was, and it wasn't that good either. So yes, it is some of the art. Ramos does the main art for the book, and it is a giant-sized issue. But for the price, it should bloody be a giant-sized issue. So there. Here's the end with him saying, "I will be the superior Spider-Man." Then we have this nice story. Cameron Colley does the art, which I really like Cameron Colley, so I liked that one. The final story, which is this whole Black Cat story, I'm trying to see who does the art. Stephanie Bashima. I did really like it. It was really nice stylized kind of art. It was just a story. I didn't really think, well, what's the point of having this in here? It makes no point. I would have much rather have seen some kind of retrospective over Peter Parker's time as Spider-Man. One thing that they do put in here that I really liked is they reprint like the 700 issues, all the covers, which I really liked that. I thought that was really cool. But yes, that was Spider-Man 700. For the hype, nah, it didn't do it for me. But like I say, there was some good stuff in here as well. So I think I'd give it a thumbs in the middle, to be fair. And finally this week we have Avenging Spider-Man, issue 15.1. This issue it really deals with Dr. Octopus now in the part of Peter Parker. He's now Spider-Man, and he's sort of making his own spider costume, and sort of his mindset and how he's dealing with being Spider-Man. I enjoyed this. It made me a bit more intrigued to get the book. I looked forward after reading this. I felt like, yeah, I could go and buy Superior Spider-Man and enjoy it. Unfortunately, I won't be buying it because I've just got far too many books on my pull list as it is, especially books that are twice a month, and I just can't, if this book, if Superior Spider-Man was going to be once a month, hell yeah, I'd be there. But I think in February, I think we end up with like 3 issues coming out during February, so alone, so yeah, I think I'll give that one a miss. Well, at least at the moment I do. I might get tempted. But getting back to Avenging Spider-Man, I like the story. It really got you more into like Dr. Octopus's mindset and why he's doing what he's doing. So I liked this one a lot. The art as well was good. It was really good. I get the impression that the team on this book changes every issue, the writer and the artist, which is a shame. I know it's pretty much usually a team-up book, but it's a book I'd be tempted to get every month if they were going to keep a regular artist and writer on it. At the end, we get the glimpse of his new outfit, which is good. But all in all, yeah, I enjoyed this. If Amazing Spider-Man sort of left you wanting and a bit disappointed, this is a great book to get, as it really sets up the new series well. If you just totally hate the whole idea of Dr. Octopus being Spider-Man, stay clear of this one. But personally, I enjoyed it and give it a thumbs up.